So I finally completed Fallout. Yes, cue the round of applause. But no, in all honesty, I've completed it. Just the just the main storyline. I've not done absolutely everything there is to do in the game because, as I was reminded today, in order to do that, you're going to be looking at a heck of a lot of hours, not just the 90 or so that I put into it. So with that in mind, I just wanted to go through some of the stuff I liked in the game, some of the stuff I didn't like. A review of sorts, but just so people know, it will be full of spoilers. I'm going to be talking about the ending, or lack of, and all the other stuff surrounding that. So if you're not happy to learn about how the story progresses, etc., please turn off now. I think I want to do a full review on the game, or a sort of review as best as I can do it, and in that will actually be spoiler free anyway. So if you do want to wait and check that out, then please do so. But for now, I just wanted to do a video for everyone, just letting you know what I think about it overall now that I have completed it and played it all the way through. So some of the things that I wanted to talk about in the game as a whole, or the first notable thing for me, at least anyway, going into the game, is that I've noticed a very sharp decline in the amount of game breaking bugs and glitches that I have experienced from Bethesda games previously. I didn't think Skyrim was too bad, to be honest. At least not on the PC. On the PS3, it was we know about Skyrim's problems on the PS3, but Skyrim was a lot better than Oblivion, and Fallout 4 has been a heck of a lot better than Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Had a lot of problems with Fallout 3, especially on the PC. Anyway, moving on from that, I'm glad about a lot of the changes that they've made in the game, and some I'm not so pleased about. First thing I'm going to talk about, which is a bit of a mixed bag, which is VATS. For those of you who really enjoyed VATS in Fallout 3, it's no longer the same. Some things I do like, some things I don't like. I can't decide if I like the slow motion or not. To some extent, I preferred it when it stopped time. I felt like it was more of an RPG, or had more RPG elements to it in that way than it does now that it doesn't have that in. So that's a bit of a plus and a negative, because I do like seeing everything carrying on in slow motion. You can wait for that opportune moment to strike if you so desire, and also obviously helps with when projectiles are being shot at you. Projectiles, grenades and such, you can obviously shoot them out of the air in VATS, which is still pretty cool. However, one of the things I do dislike in VATS is the critical shots now. The fact that you actually choose when you use them, which yes is a big positive, because you can save it up. You know that you're coming to the end of a dungeon, you're going to come up against someone that's quite high leveled, someone that's a legendary character, and you can use it on them, and there you go. All of a sudden, you've got yourself a free pass, so to speak. A headshot on them with one of your strongest weapons, guaranteed hit with a critical and the extra critical damage. There you go. You've pretty much taken them out, or that's what it is. What it's like with my hunting rifle. Anyway, now that it's fully spec'd up, and obviously it shoots 2 projectiles at once, so both of them hit, both of them critical, normally dead in the head, if I'm totally honest with that. So that does help you get rid of really powerful enemies. But then on the other side of it, you've not got criticals at any other time. And obviously you still get the bonus from sneak attacks, but the critical aspect of it doesn't apply, just randomly. But then again, I suppose you could say maybe that's a little bit balanced out. I've got the Mysterious Stranger perk, so he can turn up and finish off enemies, which in a sense gives you a bit of unknown to it. But personally, I would have much preferred to have the criticals separate. So the criticals be random chance, as they normally are. And then maybe if you want to do added critical as a perk or something that you could, boost up and then save, then maybe that would work as well. But as it is, I'm not a huge fan of it. So, but that's a fairly small gripe, really, in comparison to everything else. I just wanted to make that point. I've gone about VATS for far too long now. Anyway, I'm going to go on about the main story now. And the main story sort of ends without throwing any light on what you've already done and what you've already accomplished in the game. For example, I was very heavy involved in the Minutemen, being quite good, looking after people of the Commonwealth, going out of my way to help them make their lives better. None of that was really drawn attention to. It just seemed like, well, you've blown up the Institute, obviously spoiler, so this is your ending. If you had not blown up the Institute, then there was another ending. It doesn't really matter what faction you decided to go with. Now, I felt myself more aligned to the Minutemen. I thought they've, got a really good story. I think they're more the good guys in the game. I don't think the Brotherhood of Steel are bad. I don't think the Railroad are bad. I just think it's the Institute that are bad in their own sort of sense. It's a bit like the Enclave. You would classify the Enclave as being bad, but really they're trying to perfect humanity and save it from itself and preserve it. So the Institute sort of takes the Enclave's position in Fallout. Well, that's what I think anyway. And therefore they sort of set themselves up to be classified as the bad guys. Even though it's all a bit of a blur. I mean, it does depend on where you see it yourself and how you really view the post-apocalyptic wasteland and systems all in itself. But me personally, I like to think that you can help people survive up top and that you shouldn't shut yourself off from them, and they're the people that you should be helping, which is basically the way I went. Even though the game does try to make that a lot more difficult by adding your son as the director of the Institute, which obviously makes things a bit more complicated because you've got on this as a protagonist has gone on this whole journey in order to save his son, and then when he finally gets to it, he has to then destroy all of his son's work. And of course, or maybe not of course, but you'd later find out that he's dying anyway. He's got an advanced form of cancer that will kill him. So in one respect, sort of going against the Institute doesn't really harm him that much. I mean, when you're in there, he is dying anyway. So, which I've got a video of. Well, I've got a video of the final assault, which I'll also be putting up and using. I'm not sure if I use it in this video, but I will be using it in my review video. Bits, clips of it, not anything that gives too much away. Because pretty much everyone's seen sort of what the Institute looks like by now. So that side of things, I'm a bit disappointed by the ending. But then again, you get to carry on. It doesn't overly feel like a full stop. It feels more like a period, or is it period? No, comma. That's America choose. Oh, period is full stop, obviously. And it feels more like a comma because you get to carry on with everything that you're doing. There are more missions in with the Minutemen. You get a synth son that's Sean that you have to sort of look after. But basically, he just sits in the castle and makes you modifications every time you hand him something obscure from the wasteland, like a telephone or a biometric scanner, and which is quite useful. You get quite a lot of good stuff from him actually. Well, I did anyway. And you get to explore the rest of what you haven't done in the wasteland, carry on with your base building, carry on with your Brotherhood of Steel missions, carry on with your railroad missions, your Minutemen missions, whatever it was you were doing beforehand. But obviously now the Institute is gone, and it's just a great big hole in the ground that does a lot of radiation damage. So, probably I did try to go in there, but the radiation damage was so high, and I don't even remember if I put my hazmat suit on. I didn't really want to do such a huge nosing around down there, if I'm in all honesty, but you could do. And so overall, with all the improvements that they've made with the base building, the weapon modification, the armor modification, overall I do like the new power armor system. It does force you to use it more sparingly. I do like the legendary enemies, sort of, and I do the perk system's okay. I preferred it how it was before, but I don't really have too much of a problem with that. The lack of weapon, or the missing out of the weapon degradation, I do like, because it was a royal pain in the backside basically to keep doing that all the time. I'd like to see them have it with the armor though. I know they do with the power armor, which yes, makes sense. The power armor has a lot of drawbacks, but I'd like to see them do it with the other customizable pieces, that you can attach onto your base character, which obviously you'll see my character has the Vault 111 jumpsuit, and then he's got different metallic or leather pieces attached on that give him extra defense and extra perks. I'd like to see them be degraded as well. But that's not really such a massive thing. I'm glad that they took it off of the weapons, really. The combat is really good. That's one thing that they've massively improved on. I think, aiming down the sights, shooting from the hip is, well, about 10 times better than it was on 3, at least. So, that is good. It gives you more reason to play it as more of a first-person shooter, or a third-person shooter, I suppose, from the hip. But that sort of needed to happen. I'm then just a little bit disappointed that it's taken away from VATS a little bit. But it's in the eye of the beholder, that one, I'm afraid. It's up to you guys to decide whether you like that or not. There was something else I was going to say. Yes, the battles as well between the different factions and everything, I feel are a lot better. They're a lot more smoother. They're a lot more epic than they have been in 3 and New Vegas. I know there were some decent ones, but when you're in Fallout 3, you can turn a corner and you can have 3 factions fighting each other, which is just amazing. A vertibird crashing in the middle of it. Brotherhood of Steel Knights coming out, shooting raiders. Well, super mutants seem to ambush both of them. That's the sort of thing I really like, and the game does do that really well. It's all this whole random event type thing. You'll be on your way to explore an area, and then all of a sudden you'll be sidetracked and not end up doing it because something else comes up, a radio frequency comes in that you listen to, and then you're off on a whole new mission. That sort of stuff. Bethesda just does that really well. And even their side missions, 90% of them are really good, really fleshed out. Obviously, you're going to have the odd basic generic one, which happens quite a lot in the Minutemen, which is probably really my only negative with the Minutemen, to be honest, are those sort of random missions where send you halfway across the map because all you need to go and clear out these ghouls. Well, I don't think they're any threat to you, considering they're about probably a mile and a half, 2 miles away. But anyway, I suppose they have to add in those missions just to build up your reputation, etc. I haven't even touched on the base building. Some people have said it's not fleshed out enough. There's not I'm taking this from Angry Joe. There's not a good enough tutorial for it. I personally found it fine. I would have liked a tutorial for the power and the connectors and everything, but it's just a bit of trial and error, and you get round to doing it. I mean, you never really waste your resources. As long as you don't go around building lots of one thing, you'll be fine. So just bear that in mind, and obviously go around and collect all the junk you can if you do want to build bases on a regular thing. So yeah, I also quite enjoy the base defense missions when they come up as well. I mean, I've got one from the castle, which probably will be on this video, I don't know. And that was really, really cool. And I have to say, I watched another YouTuber do it, and my base held up just, a lot better than his did. I think maybe mine was a lot more prepared. I had a lot more settlers in there and everything. So, yeah, it was really good. And, well, what can I say? I think for me, personally, it should win Game of the Year. It's the one that I've put the most time into. I've come home and played it, and I've made time to play it, and I've just basically put in any free time I have had into the game. So that for me basically says that this is a game that's worth going out and getting. It is worth every single penny, I promise you. Whether you pick that up for £22 on PC, or I think you could get it for £30 in the Black Friday deals for console, it's definitely worth that price. Moreover, in fact. And I am looking forward to seeing what sort of DLC Fallout do to it. And I'm also really looking forward to now when they officially start supporting mods, because you're going to get a heck of a lot more longevity to the game through that. I mean, at least another extra 10-15 hours, especially when you get user created quests and weapons to gain at the end of them. It's going to be really good, and that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to now. I'm probably going to take more of a step back from the game now I've completed the main story, and I have found a large chunk of the locations. I feel like I've done a large chunk of the side missions as well, or at least a decent chunk of the side missions from the time that I've put in, and I found a lot of really powerful weapons that are in the game, and I believe I've pretty much found the strongest power armor as well, despite the fact I don't have all the bits for it. But there you go. If you want, well, I was going to save a rating for the review, but my rating has got to be more of a 9 out of 10ish. Obviously, I will reevaluate that when I do, and if and when I do an official review, and then obviously I'll decide from there. Anyway, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this discussion video. And yeah, if you've got any comments to make on the game, you know, some stuff you might not agree with or do agree with me on, then please do leave them down below and I'll get back to you. As always, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you all very soon. Goodbye.